The best day of the year and risk versus reward. A lesson in winning. Hello, everybody. And I don't know, I feel like my videos have become like me, like sitting on a mountain somewhere, observing everybody and just sharing my observations because I don't want to participate. And we're going to get into some of the reasons for that. And I'm just excited because all I have to do is get through today, get through tomorrow, and then Saturday is the Sidemen football charity match, which you guys know is my favorite event by so far. I can't even begin to describe it, and I forgot how much money they actually raised. Last year they raised 6.1 million. Now, I want to use them as an example of this thing I'm saying about risk versus reward as a winner, because one thing I find irritating, there's two layers to this. There's the morality layer, as in some people seem to be happy to risk their morals and values for the sake of the reward, and then that's the losing method, which we're going to give a few examples of that. And then you have the winning version, where you see an opportunity, and just because you don't exactly know how, or you haven't exactly seen somebody else do it, or it doesn't make sense to you, you risk it anyway. And you guys know that one of my struggles I have, I was literally just now sitting with my head in my hand, just thinking, honestly, my greatest regret, if I was to put all my regrets and to summarize, would be that, not that I never really risked anything, but that I just didn't risk it all. And that's a bigger regret for me than the results, because now there's a lot of things I look back and it's like, I'll never know, because I never just went for it and I let other people's words get into my head, trusting that this is what I should do because I'm listening to those who are supposedly more wise. Which brings me to the Sidemen, because as I said to you, they are actually older than me. So all the Sidemen are actually millennials, which is kind of funny. And so for them, I think that's even more impressive what they've done. Because, even watching the match, one thing I love about the match is that they're actually really good at playing. And it's a perfect depiction of something I've been saying to you guys. All they did is just a bunch of guys, each individually, who just started making videos before everybody knew how to monetize, and there were billions of videos and whatever's, before companies had a whole social media team. Right now, every company wants to have a BTS, they have a designated person showing what happens at the office, doing all the trends. The very same people who didn't believe, because in one of the interviews that was from one of the Sidemen, from Victor, from one of their first charity matches, he was talking about how they've been on a really tough journey because they weren't even allowed at some stadiums, wouldn't even allow them to use the whole stadium. They'd cut off some of the stadium because they didn't believe they could sell out the stadium. And now this is the second year in a row they've sold out Wembley Stadium. And it's just incredible. And it's so funny because for me, I'm looking at it from, a lot of people have respect now. And this is something I don't like about the world. It's a very losing mentality, that people tend to only have respect for anything once they see the success of it, which means you are not going to be the one to benefit off of being the early adopter. And also, you're just another copycat and you're just another follower. And I really realized I can't stand following. I can't stand it, to be completely honest with you, because it's just have an idea for yourself, try something for yourself. Everything and everybody that we're seeing that's successful. I mean, you look at Mark Zuckerberg, who, before we knew him, he used to, do code and stuff. He spent ages building Facebook. And again, it wasn't with the viewpoint of money. He had an idea he was working on, and he fully sent his idea. Same with Jeff Bezos, Audible, which was before Amazon, wasn't even making money. He wasn't even fixated on that. And this is where you can tell the difference between winners and losers in life. Because a lot of losers will immediately think it's the desperation of what do I need to do to get my next big amount of money or whatever, rather than how do I actually, what can I, like, this is what I'm saying about the difference between like this whole school thing we all do and like purpose. Because I feel like if you find your purpose, you know, like how sin is veering off the right path, that's what it really means. I think that's what it means. It's like there is a pathway that God has for all of us, and if we follow said pathway, success is inevitable, right? Our job is to take the risk, have the faith, right? And you see that in an immoral sense. You know, there's these two girls here who irritate the hell out of me, right? Oh my gosh. They have a Christian girly podcast, yeah, Girls Gone Bible. And they were found, obviously, whilst doing all this, I just want a man that's 6'4" and who lives the Bible. The Bible is all he thinks of. Like, this is literally what she was saying. Then they had a clip of her in some dress, all bent over, going, I shouldn't be doing this because I run a religious podcast. When I see stuff like this, I'm like, someone choke me to death. Like, someone choke me to death. This is so annoying. But it's the reality of the risk that they made, right? The risk of being true to yourself and thinking about if you can get away with stuff. And that's where I say that's the losing demonic angle, because even all these rich folks working for the devil, they're risking the idea that they somehow believe they can outsmart God. That's what exactly they're doing. And that to me is just like that level of delusion. That level of delusion, it's too hot for me to be out, actually. Because I was going to go for a walk that way. Hold on. I'm going to risk it anyway. But this is what these people are risking. Even if you look at like the church leaders who, you know, are my absolute pet peeve, because I can't stand anyone that knowingly manipulates others, and especially when it comes to the things of God, because a lot of people are blaming God where God is not to blame, you know, because he isn't. Like, I've thought about it in every version of people expecting God to like have intervened or done something. It's like, this is again another deluded idea we have as humans, where we want our free will, we want to be able to do what we want, and then we want to be able to also dictate when God does and doesn't override our free will. How does that make any sense? It's like I said before, it's an interesting dilemma to think about. What is God supposed to do if you make prayers that contradict each other? Think about that, right? What is he supposed to do? So that brings me back to the Sidemen. For all these years, you know, they've been hustling, and they just started out at a park, like, you can't see it from here, right over there, up the hill. There's some football goals there. And it's funny because I walk past them all the time, because I walk across that field all the time, and no one's ever there. No one is ever there. And it's like another missed opportunity, because a lot of people who are successful now, all they did is take what we all have access to and utilize it. That's all that they did. They took stuff that all of us could possibly do easily, or a lot of us could, and they took a risk. It's like how I feel. I've realized that I've got a lot of lack of patience for people allowing their insecurities to consume them. And I heard somebody say once, you know, there's a difference between being an insecure person and being a person with insecurities. And I thought that's so strong, because certain things, guys, in life, we have to at a certain point, you have to consider your list of priorities, right? This is how I look at risks and faith. It's like, would I rather, you know, deal with the consequences of taking whatever kind of risk or putting in any kind of faith, right? Would I rather take those consequences or the consequences of having never tried? That's why I think I've had a lot of people say, like, you're quite confident and this and that. And I'm like, I'm not, actually. I'm like, I'll be there, in a lot of situations, like, and you guys were there for one of them. So that's why I always reference going to Italy the first time. It's like, in my brain, am I going to really miss an entirely incredible opportunity because I'm insecure? Like, am I going to miss an entire opportunity because I'm not sure if I can do it? I would be regretting it, guys, if it's been 3 years now and I hadn't gone, right? And other people use the excuse. This is why I'm like, if you're really serious, you won't make excuses. You won't. Like I was saying about Mr. Beast and the fact that he works 17 hours a day and he still trains in the gym. Other people work not even close to those number of hours, don't do nothing, right? And struggle to even, get in a 30-minute walk a couple of times a week. What the hell? Like, what the hell? Like, get a grip. And this is where I feel like my patience has run out for just loser behavior. It's one thing when you're working on stuff, and this is why I make these videos, to hopefully be a kind of tough love encouragement to you guys that, like, you can do this. Like, pull yourself up, don't lose out on things in life because of fear and all sorts, right? Because fear is also a thing that drives the risk-taking of the losing team, if you can imagine, because they're fearful of losing what? The jury of the sheeple. That's why they have to live hypocritically, because if people knew the truth about their life and their lifestyle, they would be going through the experience I do where people question, like, but how can she possibly have a relationship with God when this, when that, when this, when that? And it's like, this is why they do it. I get it. I'm pretty sure a lot of the people who I know from church throughout the years believe I've fallen away. And guess what? I don't care. Because none of them are living a life I want to live anyway. And the people that are people like the Sidemen. People like the Sidemen. They're a bunch of friends who've worked as a solid team for 15 years, I think, this year. They own everything themselves. There's no weird, big, old corporation that owns a percentage of their business. This was another thing with me in business is I don't want to have any investors because I don't want to have anything, like I said to you guys, I don't like the chains. So people would always be like, and I even considered doing crowdfunding once. I was like, I don't like that idea. So that's one of the main reasons they've lasted so long is because everything they have is their own. The decisions they make, there's 7 of them, majority vote wins, regardless of people's feelings, regardless of anything. If 4 people vote for something, that's what they're all doing. And that is so mature, by the way. I can't see a lot of grown adults in that situation working. Probably arguing, probably have to break up, whatever. So these are the things. They have responsibilities within the team that they stick to. Like, these are the things other people can't do. These are exactly the things other people can't do. I was watching one of the Sidemen adjacent buddies, Theo Baker's journey of doing an Ironman, which again, I way prefer to watch the Ironman stuff. They did a creators high rocks. It's not this big wig, freaking gatekeeping industries of the world, like they are of the world, but I mean like the ones where in order to become a professional footballer, you must be scouted by whoever. And in order to become an Olympian, this is the Olympic coach we've chosen. Who just happens to also be into, sexually abusing kids, like that Larry Nassar dude who was sexually abusing all the gymnastics, a lot of the gymnastics girlies, right? They're just normal people that stuck with something. The world doesn't really, in general, have a lot of respect for them. But now they do, because obviously they have money. Guys, I've told God, as I've said, anyone before the fullness of the promised land experience and everything happens, anybody who's going to be there, my life better be here now. Because I'm not doing this, oh, we popped in because we heard you're doing well, or now we're interested because you have money or because you have this. Nah, screw off, mate. Screw off. I got my peoples that we were all there in the trenches together. You run back and go and find another person to go and exploit. You know what I mean? And that's literally how it is. So when I see this stuff, like, these guys are actually competing, because I don't know if you guys know about an Ironman. It's like, I can't remember how long the swim is, but it's 180k cycle. They do a swim, which I can't remember how long it is. But Theo's video, it took him an hour and a half. They do a swim, outdoor, then they do an 180 kilometer cycle, and then they run an entire marathon. That's freaking gangster. Like, that's something to actually be proud of. And I love seeing stuff like that because you got people with discipline. You know, the idea of actually sticking to such a rigorous schedule. You know, he had to train 16 hours a week and actually seeing it through to the end and actually pushing while they're going through it. Because what I also notice about a lot of folks is, if, like, so for example, if you start something, a lot of people start something, and if they're not immediately seeing the results they want, like this, I think people are stupid. Then it's like, oh, we don't want to be involved now because I tried this for 2 months and I gave up because you know, I went for my first run and it was harder than I thought, so I gave up. Oh, let's try to do this. Like, it's just a lot of loser behavior, if you ask me. And like I said, this is where the risk comes into it, because the truth is, you don't really know until you've exhausted all the energy you have to put into that risk. That's what I was saying, like, about my regrets. Because I specifically remember times of, like, the voices around versus the voice in my head. And, like, the voices around are just, I've told you, I find being around people to be very detrimental to my faith, because a lot of people are just really very negative as well, always seeing the negatives, always finding reasons to give up. And it's like, you know what? Some tasks are so hard to do. Like, you don't need someone putting you down. You need somebody building you up, somebody encouraging you, like believing in the impossible. So this is what I'm thinking about. Hold on. I think something just flew in my mouth. But this is why, like I say, I've realized most people are losers. Like, I've said it, I say it a lot. Most people are actually losers. It reminds me of the Bitcoin situation. And even social media, if you think about it. But Bitcoin in particular. And how, of course, everybody thought it was stupid. And in the end, it ended up being, you know why? Because the power in it in the beginning was the fact that few people were risking something and putting their risk before everybody else, which meant that once everybody else caught wind, like the little followers sheep they are, they got to profit off of that. So those are the people who made money. The people who try to make it work later, it's like, mate, there's like 1 billion coins now. There's so many people trying to do it. Like, you missed it. You missed it. That's just what it is. Like, even with, like I'm saying, the Simon charity match, they've been playing football as friends for like over 15 years. Because that's how I started to get to know about them. One of the guys called Chris MD. He's not in the Sidemen. But when I was a teenager, my brother used to watch him all the time. And he would just do random videos. And this is me literally watching this, myself. He would do random videos, opening packs of FIFA cards on the FIFA game. And also, they would do random football challenges. So like I said, the crossbar challenge, where you try to hit the crossbar, or they would test out all these different types of methods, like, and I found it so fascinating, you know? So you're not going to get the benefit of the 15 years of work that somebody else put in. And it goes back to something I said to you guys about preparing yourself for seasons and being where you want to be, right? And making sure you set yourself up in the same way. Don't get upset. Yeah, look, here's another one. Here's another one. I used to come to this park all the time. You see? Football goals. Can you see them? They've not even got nets in them. So can you imagine? This is how they started. They just come out to parks like this. They'll just come out to parks like this with a football, and they just picked up the same damn mobile phones we all have, and they recorded themselves. And the thing that makes them I love so much is they're so humble. And I realized truly successful people are always humble. Especially the morally successful people are very humble, because the journey is humbling. Oftentimes it's the pride, and you know why that happens as well? Because the devil obviously operates in pride, and God operates through the humble. So, of course, the devil wants you to have an inflated sense of self, because that's what's going to keep you going, keep you changing your morals and values, because you think you're better, because you think you're so smart, because you've got all this pride, you know. And so this is why I love watching like the Sidemen stuff, because in the football matches, lots of silly things are happening. Like, it's not like these Premier League, World Cup like matches where you got some big wig freaking managers and some big wig freaking companies or whatever. It's just those guys, they're friends, we all grew up watching with them. Then they do silly stuff like throughout the match. Like Max Fosh, for example, one year he got yellow carded and he pulled out an Uno reverse card, and then another year he got yellow carded and he had a paper shredder in his that he'd attached into his shirt, and it was just funny and everyone was laughing. I feel like the older generations in all these organizations would be like, oh my gosh, that is so disrespectful. It's like you're taking yourselves too seriously. In fact, the skill they have shines even more because they are that humble. Yeah, look, right here, literally right here. Not this exact park, but this kind of thing. It all starts with something as simple as this, and then it'll be the same people who, again, weren't prepared to take the risk, because no, it wasn't cool. Like Mr. Beast talks about that, how he was bullied. Well, I don't know if bullied maybe is a strong word. He didn't use the word bullied, but he said he was always the weird kid at school. People thought he was odd for making videos. Yeah, look at him now. It always starts out like that. This is what I'm saying. And I've been realizing that if whatever you're currently doing is the societally acceptable thing. Oh yeah, I used to have, let's go to a youth group here. I forgot that the youth group used to be here. Oh, the park. I can't remember the names of the parks anymore. Also, they've changed that park. What the heck? What the heck is that? Like, the parks used to be fun. Now it's these weird shaped things. I just don't know what that is. What even is that? Anyway, I've realized that if what you're doing is what everybody likes, oh, it's what do you call it? The outdoor paddling pools. Oh yes, I forgot those exist. To think this, we used to have churches. So crazy. What a full circle. And the youth group I went to wasn't connected to the church, by the way. Not that that's that important. I want to walk behind there. Let's just go have a little look, shall we? We'll just go have a quick little look. Maybe I'll be able to see inside. Yeah, I've been thinking about that, because another thing that's been ticking me off, yeah, and I made a whole video about this yesterday, I'm not going to upload it because I just got really upset, is how Disney Plus, and I was telling you guys about Disney bought Crunchyroll, where I watch anime and I watch One Piece. And again, what do I love about One Piece? The freedom. Luffy's a humble leader. You know, he's just around in his unbuttoned shirt and his shorts and his sandals. He's not like these pirates that show up with these scary looking ships trying to intimidate everybody, or who run their ships through fear, right? In fact, his ship is a massive it's got at the front like a sun, but the sun is actually a lion, and it looks like something that children would have. And it's one of my favorite things is how confused other pirates are by how strong he is, because he's come on this small ship with like 9 other people. They're all goofing around, especially him, right? So they're like, this guy's one of the, what is he now? This guy's one of the warlords of the sea. The warlords of the sea are like the 4 strongest pirates, and the government decides who they are. So after he defeated one of the other warlords, in fact 2 warlords, he became a warlord, obviously. And people are so bewildered by how he looks and just how he operates, because his ship, he's like, hey guys, you just do whatever you want to do. I'm just here for freedom. Everybody's free. Whenever you want to leave, you can leave. But then they don't leave. You wonder why. Because why would they want to, being in that kind of environment? And then also makes them fight harder, because rather than, again, being one of these, this is why I love how they depicted this in One Piece. How the royals, they wear these, they're so funny, right? They wear these bubbles over their head. And the bubble is just because they can't breathe the same air as like everybody else, right? Hold on, 1 second. No freaking way, this is iconic. This is iconic. They're doing all these murals everywhere. It's Dennis the Menace. I haven't heard about Dennis the Menace in like more than 15 years, but those look sick. I love art. See what I'm saying? This is another skill that like people would look down upon as like not a real job, not a real thing, but then they're the people that splatter a couple splashes of paint and get paid 4 million for it. And then you want to be jealous. You have the same opportunity. You weren't willing to take the risk. And you know what? I think about this all the time. This is why I'm happy to die as I am now. Is, you know what? I have lived as somebody I can be proud of. Like, I can be proud of the person I've lived as for a lot of it. I'm not happy to really, because there's so much I yet to do that I still want to do. But I can proudly say that, what the hell is that? Oh, electric car chargers. There's so many different kinds of these things. You see me, because I just don't be keeping up with a lot of stuff, I get really shocked at certain things. I'm like, what the hell is that? Another annoying thing. We won't get into the electric car discussion. But yeah, so Luffy on the show, he's just so humble. That's why I loved watching it. So next thing you know, Disney frigging Plus is all in my bank statement. And I'm like, oh, hell no, I'm not putting money towards these people, because as I said to you guys, it's not about our one action. Yeah. It's not about the one little 8 quid or whatever that I pay for Crunchyroll. It's about the fact that if we all do it, then they make a lot of money. Like, I saw this argument about, the royal family, and this young lady was in some debate with a bunch of other folks, and they were having a really like wholesome conversation amongst people from different backgrounds and different age groups. And she was saying she can't believe how much money is going to the royal family, and other people were saying, well, that's only £1.25 per person in the country. I'm like, this is what's wrong with the way people think. Because yes, that's true. But if the population of the country is 80 million, because her argument was, why do we keep giving money and extra money to a royal family that doesn't do diddly squat? Which, valid. I have to go and check out what's inside this store. Can't help myself. Oh, I feel like I want to go on an exploration of this area, because I never go around here. And I got a bit, I don't really have that much time, but I'm trying to get some steps in the middle of the day, because I'm not feeling great, because, it's that time, you guys. Hold on, I've got to go in here.